Glad you're here today. Have you ever caught yourself saying something to your child, your partner, or even to yourself that sounded exactly like something you promised yourself never to repeat? I know I've done this more times than I would like to admit. I think I've done this during the years I raised my daughters primarily. And even now, as they're grown women, wonderful wives, and loving mothers. As I reflect upon the situations in raising my girls, I reflect upon my marriages and how those relationships informed my parenting. As I now am getting the help and support I need to process the trauma and abuse, there's so many things I would do differently. I would validate more frequently and listen a bit better. Yet I also realize I have an amazing relationship with both of my daughters. One of them recently called it phenomenal. They are my two best friends. I know no parent is perfect. And in reflection, we all probably say we would do it differently if we had the chance. Today, I observe differently, listen differently, speak with more wisdom, and stand up for myself in ways I had not for nearly 60 years. And I refuse to let the pain of my past reflect my current living, nor will I let others use their family experiences to excuse them for the way they treat others. If you can identify with any of this, hit the subscribe button. I'd love for you to be a part of this journey. I now know that the healing work I'm doing is not just for me, but it's for the next generation and for those whose lives I have the opportunity to touch, who are still with me on this journey, and those that I meet in the future. I've been aware of the concept and the profound effect of generational trauma for quite some time. As a special education professional, associate professor, author, researcher, I've looked at how cultures see disability, how cultures address disability, and how even the shame of disability has affected families and children. Grief, that grief process of having someone with a disability, the trauma that comes with it, I realize that grief is grief and trauma is trauma. So generational trauma, whether it be abuse, events, wars, racism, or even the trauma of learning that someone you love dearly has a disability, it's not just about painful memories. It's about the patterns, the silence, and the unspoken rules we grow up with. It's the emotional wounds that we pass down without words, the way a family avoids conflict, or even how love gets tangled up with control, how fear and shame silently shape how we see the world. And unless we become aware, we end up repeating what we never meant to pass on. So, how do you know if generational pattern is playing out in your life? Maybe you find yourself overreacting or shutting down completely. Some conflict happens, I know. I certainly have acted in that way, though, the shutting down part at least. Maybe expressing your love for someone is how you react, or something feels uncomfortable or scary. And maybe as a parent, you lead with fear instead of connection, even though your heart longs to do better. Or maybe you keep attracting toxic relationships like I have done. They feel painfully familiar. But the first step to breaking any cycle is awareness. You can't heal what you don't see. For example, my older daughter felt so loyal to me when her father left us, she felt she could no longer have a relationship with him. Doing so would upset me and cast a shadow of doubt on the incredible relationship she and I shared, and we still share today. The abuse I had experienced from him and his family scarred me deeply, and it scared me deeply. Even hearing about them triggered me. I'd begin to panic. I needed to flee, to find a way to listen to what I could not bear to hear. When all this happened, I was living and working in a community where the family was well known and well regarded. It was as if I could not escape them, even when they were not there to be seen. I'd been shunned for more than 16 years, and somehow I needed to continue living and working in a community where most felt nothing but love for this family. There came a point in time, though, when my daughter shared with me why she had kept her distance from all of them. And I felt so bad when she did. Although her relationship is still distant and unfulfilling, she makes the effort to visit him once a year so that her children will know their grandfather. She acknowledges that she is the only one making the effort to establish a relationship with her dad. She also knows that we can now talk about his family as she feels the need to do so. And in support of her, I will even ask how he and his family are doing from time to time. But it still hurts. The trigger is still there. It's a softer trigger. That's because I'm healing. And this part of breaking the cycle, while I continue to work through the pain, helps my daughter know that I'm still there for her and I'm strong enough to get through this. Therapy is helping me to unpack and reprocess the relationship and the abuse. My daughters are now in their 30s. They have found their own way to heal, to accept what was and what is. I'm even more conscious now as to how my trauma and abuse can be seen by them through my actions, my moods, and my responses to them. I'm no longer bearing what I feel. Rather, I'm pre-parenting my inner child to give me the safety and the love that I missed growing up and the following 5 decades into my adult life. I'm now able to share with my daughters at a much deeper level about my mental health, how trauma and abuse has affected me, the work that I'm doing in therapy, and to even ask them to help me hold me accountable, to be a bit more patient with me as I work to overcome and to become a healthier me. I can let them into this space now. My faith has guided me, choosing forgiveness over bitterness, growth over silence, and freedom over shame. Breaking the cycle, I know isn't easy because I struggle with it, but I also know it's possible and it's worth it. I know that I am the cycle breaker, and you are too. If I do not heal, my family doesn't heal. And I don't want my girls to be constantly vigilant about how I'm doing when we get together. I want them to be able to enjoy the moment, the time we have together. And you two are healing your families. And your courage changes everything, not just for you, but for those who come after you. If this message is spoken to you, share your story in the comments. Join the Redeem Thyself and Seven Petals communities and be here where we support each other in this hard and exhausting work. Tag someone who's walking this road with you too. And don't forget to subscribe because we're just getting started. Until next week, bye for now.